Welcome to Seat Time, where we drink beer and talk about all the happenings with motorcycles. Hey everyone, welcome to Seat Time. This is episode Dirty 30.
Woo-woo!
I'm Jason Schmidt.
And I am Brian Pierce. Have you guys may have noticed things? You might feel like you're looking in a mirror right now. We've kind of switched up. I had ankle surgery this past Friday to fix some cartilage malfunctioningness, and so they had to go in there and debris some cartilage that had ripped off the bone, some cysts that had formed, a small bone graft, all that fun stuff. I'm no longer toxic, if anybody is asking. So that's why we're switched up. My foot is supposed to be elevated. Yay! So there's that.
He put a nice spin on things, but I actually spoke with his doctor, and the phrase vaginal wall was used. So I don't know how all this ankle stuff came into it. It's all...
It's a really good way to hide
It's
situations.
a clever ruse with the scooter and the cast, but
you fix my
no one's falling for it.
and put a cast on my foot?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Those implants really work well these days.
Yeah. Well, no. Starting off as usual with the weekends. This weekend was, well, obviously eventful for him as he started his trek to become a woman. But
through my ankle.
Yeah. Friday night for him, I don't think there was probably a whole hell of a lot going on. Friday night for me, I went to a poker party with the greatness of the Jeff Van Matre, who you may, if you're an eagle-eyed watcher of Seat Time, then my video riding at Trophy Club, he would be the guy on the blue Yamaha that smoked past me like I was tied to a tree in the whoops. But poker party at his place, actually did pretty well for not knowing what the hell I was doing. And then Saturday...
Well, you did wiki everything all day to figure out.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, all the whales at the casino are on Wikipedia before they go trying to figure out how to play the game. Yeah, I felt awesome. Now, Saturday, I really don't know during the day.
It's not worth it.
Nah, not really worth it. Not worth your time to sit here and for the 45 minutes it's going to take me to recollect. No, I hung out with a friend a little bit during the day, then lounged for a while. Saturday night, went out to a party, someone's birthday party I'd never met, with the lovely Miss Wedberg from Austin, and then met her, some more of her family, stuff like that. And had a good time, had a little bit to drink. And Sunday morning, got up, got my healthy on.
What, you go like walk White Rock or something?
Yeah, from the house. From the house, walked down there, walked around.
If I didn't have to blur it out myself, I'd totally flick you off.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, you totally could have scooted White Rock. Just like...
On your awesome knee scooter.
My knee scooter?
Yeah, watch this. I'm healthy and broken. Suck it.
Take it down.
That was pretty much it for me.
Yeah? Well, obviously I had knee surgery, or ankle. Wow. I had ankle surgery.
You can't even keep the lies straight.
Let's move it up.
It's all over the place. Oh,
it's almost to where
it's almost
really
the real lie. So ankle surgery on Friday. So I wound up not doing anything Saturday and Sunday, so it was pretty sucktacular. I watched a lot of Harry Potter. That's really all I got. But one of the cool things that did happen recently is that President Obama signed what is being called the law H.R. 2715. Now, what this law does and why it's a big deal to us is it exempts kids' HOVs, they're off-highway vehicles, so motorcycles and ATVs, from the CPSIA of 2008, which is really known as the lead law. Why this is a big deal and why we're going to talk about it on the show is because of the fact that now kids' bikes, their motorcycles, and their ATVs are exempt from the lead law. So now, legally, new kids' bikes can be consumed and purchased here in, well, consumed. I guess that's what
that's the whole thing they were trying to avoid, was 5-year-olds pulling over and gnawing on their PW50. That's what they were afraid of.
Yeah, so apparently that was a big deal, and they don't think they're going to be consumed anymore. So so bikes aren't going to be sold illegally under the table by Malcolm Smith, nor are they, they're going to be able to start riding before the age of 12, which I think is good.
Yeah,
So,
and every KTM dealer has to be happy because their 50 markets
yeah,
were...
they carry like 8,000 different versions of a 50.
Yeah, so all the folks like our buddies up at SMS have to be happy that they can get those back on the floor.
I would imagine so.
And all the local racing governing bodies are going to be able to have all their Pee-wee stuff back up and rolling again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they would have still been able to
they
have
could have
used
still
bikes,
kept going, but after a while...
That's like three-wheelers.
Yeah.
You know, you only see the good old boys riding them every now and again.
Yeah.
Some of the good old boys that we like to talk about is our Team USA that was over in, I'm going to try to say it, Kotka-Hamina, Finland. They were over there for the 2011 ISDE, which is the International 6-Day Enduro. This started the previous Monday, and that would be, what, 1st? No, 12th? That, wow, 8th?
10th?
That,
6 days ago? Wait, no. It doesn't matter. We suck at math and at interpreting calendars, so we're going to skip past this point.
we suck at interpretive dance.
No.
Dang it.
No, we're awesome at that.
So it started past Monday, and we heard that this is like super, super, super more hard than a lot of the other ISDEs that have been in the past. I mean, when you have guys like Kurt Caselli, Destry Abbott, Russell Bobbitt, all those guys saying that this is the hardest ISDE that they've ever competed in, it has to say something. So,
absolutely. Yeah, because there were some definite big names over there, and it's one of the things that was great was watching updates where they were coming in through Facebook, all the different sites, and watching
ours.
Caselli's project progress, all that. Yes, and ours.
yeah.
Updates.
So we were talking about how hard it was, the ISDE. It was actually, there was a 28% DNF rate for this ISDE, and that's throughout the whole entire competition. It goes even to show that the women's team completely DNF'd the first day. One of them was a physical ailment, one of them was a mechanical ailment, and then the other one houred out. So the women did not have much luck on their first day in Finland. But, I mean, the U.S. Trophy team, which consisted of Kurt Caselli, Colton Uldal, Russell Bobbitt, Destry Abbott, Jimmy Jarrett, and Nathan Canny, which were like half KTM riders, they actually did really, really well, and they got third place on the overall podium. So I'm pretty excited for the fact that that happened. It's pretty cool for Team USA to come in and not just really have most of their riders get gold medals, but for them to actually get the overall bronze medal as the World Trophy team.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great showing, and it just kind of lends itself to the great riding going on over here.
Yeah. And
But-
the greatness of Kurt Caselli.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because we all know that he was just leading the way through all that.
He was.
Because he was awesome. He probably just tossed the bike, maybe kicked a wheel off it and drug it just to show him who's boss.
I would have done that.
Yeah. Also, the junior trophy team had a pretty good showing as well. They had the 4th overall, so they were almost on the podium. And the team
Or the possum.
Yeah, I went ahead and skipped over the fact that it says possum instead of podium, but yeah, that shot my wheels off when I was scanning ahead while I was speaking. I was like, you have that inner dialogue while you're speaking, and you're like, oh my god, I hope these words aren't coming out of my mouth right now. 'Cause scanning ahead, and there was a giant WTF that might have been visible over my head. We'll have to rewind the tape to see. The junior trophy team consisted of no furry woodland creatures. Ian Blythe, Cody Schaefer, Andrew DeLong, Corey Buttrick, and who retired at the end of day 5 with a mechanical failure.
Yeah, I wasn't happy for that to happen to Buttrick, man. He was actually having a really, really good ride, and he was in gold medal contention. But then, unfortunately, he had his bike seized up at the end of the 5th day, so that's really kind of where it ended for him. Can't really go on when your bike doesn't want to.
Yeah, not a whole lot else in the cards for you there.
Yeah. So, Finland, who was actually the home country, won the ISDE. Spain got 2nd, and then Team USA was 3rd for the World Trophy team. Congrats to everybody, because obviously it sounds like this was a very, very tough ISDE. Everybody rode extremely well, and I'm glad to see everybody came away safe, because it doesn't sound like there were horrible amounts of injuries, just kind of everybody trooping along and making it through. So it makes me look forward to 2012.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I started getting my ankle checked out is because I hope to try to qualify for one of the club teams next year to go to the ISDE. So please start getting your paychecks ready, and even your checkbooks if you've got them, because I'm going to have T-shirts here in the next couple months. So please be on the lookout for that. But regardless, we will still cover the great coverage of the ISDE next year, September, in Germany.
Yeah.
So what happened in Washington?
Well, on a much closer front, not exactly around
Not
the
close
corner.
to us, really, but still
Yeah,
much
but
closer than
a hell of
Finland.
a lot closer than Finland. 'Cause
Beerland.
Yes. Yeah, that's not too hard to do.
Beerland.
Ah. Well, then you speak with words.
Yes. Thanks, buddy.
Well, we had round 2 of the Endurocross crank up, and not a big shock, but Taddy was out there killing it.
Killing it.
Taddy, Cody Webb, and Graham Jarvis all won their heat races to go straight to the main.
Yeah. And it just...
We've upset him.
Oh my gosh, Jordan, you're going to have to just speak up if you're upset with us.
You can't just throttle the mic like that.
Oh,
yeah.
man, yeah, it happened. So
Okay.
apparently I made some noise on the mic, and I apologize to Jordan now on camera for that. So sorry.
Don't apologize to me. Apologize to all you listeners that gotta listen to that crap.
Yeah, apparently I'm learning how to be professional. It is very, very long road to ride on. Okay, so we had we had pretty much 3 of our top 5 that I'd call it. You could add Mike Brown and Jeff Aaron into the top 5, and that would have been what kind of where I would call like our top 5 Endurocross guys going in for contention after watching the Endurocross at X Games. And so to have those 3 go straight from the main, and Jeff Aaron was one of those people as well. Mike Brown had to contend a little bit later. Obviously shows that people are showing up on their game and they're ready to race some Endurocross. So it was a good time.
Yeah.
How'd the main go?
Well, I'll give you a couple of guesses.
I don't know, but does it start with Polish?
Yes. Polish rider Taddy Lazuziak was killing it. Taddy took the win, obviously, because that's normally the case.
Yeah.
Jeff Aaron in second and Cody Webb in third. Taddy was just on a streak, lapping all the way up to third place, which,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure was an impressive sight to behold, but probably didn't give you much of a feeling that there was a lot of contention for that lead when he's just rolling over everyone.
Yeah, it definitely has to be something that's kind of hard to swallow when, you feel like you're in contention to win, and then all of a sudden you're getting lapped by the guy that's actually, winning. But from the lead, Taddy pretty much took off with it. He put the hammer down and just started working. We had Mike Brown, Cody Webb, Jeff Aaron, and Graham Jarvis all kind of trying to, go at it from the beginning, but it kind of took Mike Brown kind of went out with a couple accidents, and we had Cody Webb and Jeff Aaron going at it for a little bit, and that's kind of their pace is kind of what allowed Taddy to really pull away. But I mean, when it comes down to it, he was just moving, and he's been riding a 350, not his typical 2-stroke. So, be it a bike change, be it the guy's just on a mission, or maybe he's just been practicing. He has obviously still got it. So, and Graham Jarvis, who is he's won a lot of the extreme enduros recently, has not showed up for some of the Endurocross races apparently. So, I don't know.
Well, all the big names did show up in Unadilla. Well, at Unadilla in New Berlin, New York.
Yeah, so this is round 9 of the outdoor series?
Yeah, round 9 of the outdoor series after their 2-week layoff. And going into it, we were wondering how everyone was going to come out of the little respite there. And my hopes were not realized.
Yeah, I would imagine that your hopes were dashed a little bit by the performance by Chad Reed. It just seemed like, and I think you pointed it out that he even mentioned it before Moto 2.
Before the second Moto.
Yeah, just kind of mentally, just still wasn't there.
Yeah.
So we're not Chad Reed. We can't talk much on it. So
I can't fault the guy. I mean, it's still his horrible performance. He was still top 10 in a national outdoor motocross.
Oh my God, you were 4th overall.
Oh wow, that's horrible. But yeah, no, I obviously want him at the top of the podium because I want him to retake the lead.
Yeah.
And
not
swipe
gonna happen
down
if you
the
don't
Ginger
win.
Ninja. But
some of the things that are kind of sacred to Unadilla is Gravity Cavity. So that was back, obviously, but I just felt it looked a little tamed down this year. It just didn't seem as fun, and everybody didn't shoot out of it the way they used to. And then they as well, the big drop-off and wall, Screw You, is now renamed to The Wall. And I guess that's just to be a little bit more PC based, just to
Yeah, I guess it's trying to just appeal and to a broader audience and just kind of clean it up for all the kids at home. But you know what? If you have something like that that's been in existence for that long, you kind of expect it to stay what it is.
I know. It's kind of funny that they've renamed it, I guess, on their own. But we got to see guys like Justin Barcia, who was on a 450 this year. For this race, and then Ryan Villapoto, who had his birthday. I mean, so those guys got to go ride on all this fun stuff, be it called Screw You or The Wall, and make it a good time for all of us to watch. So very appreciative for that.
And Villapoto actually on the new 450.
Yeah,
the new
you're right.
KXF.
Yeah, and they said some stuff about like switching over this, and I know they definitely said forks and shock. So obviously that's his personally tuned forks and shock. So it could be his 2011 engine and the 2012 frame with a lot of the 2012 geometry and not the new engine, or it could be the new engine, and I was kind of trying to understand their wordplay on that and never really got it. So
yeah, I didn't follow along as well on that either. Didn't really grab the details, but I just know that I remember them talking about going out and testing, and you obviously don't usually change up bikes halfway through the year, but everyone must have really had their feather underwear on about this damn bike because everyone was just like, nope, we want it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my green fascination, that does not help me.
Yeah,
when I
or they
see
were
that,
just like, you know what, we've already bought all this media and we're going to be playing our commercial every 30 seconds on 30 seconds, so you're going to have to ride the bike.
Yeah, it's like, listen, we don't know how to tell you this, but even if we have to strap you to it, you're going to be on the damn 2012.
So, but, so speaking of the Kawasaki's, overall, we didn't see the sweep that we typically do see in the 250 class.
Yeah, it wasn't
overall wise. We saw somebody sneak in there.
Yeah, it wasn't the pro circuit showcase theater.
The sweepathon.
Yeah.
We did see Wilson get the overall. Wilson did get his first
Finally,
1-1 first overall. Congratulations to Wilson. He's been working very, very hard for it. His point lead is coming to a good lead. And then we saw Baggett with a second and a third, so he got second overall. And then Rattray was third, but he had a crash in the second moto, and so he didn't come up as well. But that gave room for Tomac, who was riding awesome, to come away with second place in the second moto for the 250s. So he wound up with third overall for the 250s on the day. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of good riding.
You can't really name that many times that you've looked back at the podium this so far this season, and it hasn't been green for all three spots. And really in the second moto, before Baggett worked his way up, it wasn't just the sea of green. I had to remind myself when I saw all these Hondas and everything running up in front when they're showing that coverage that no, they're not showing fourth or fifth place. They're actually up in contention. I mean, Wilson was handling up on it quite well, but it still was different to see and nice to see another manufacturer actually.
Yes, I would agree, and I think it's kind of funny that we've got to see now. What we're seeing is the junior Honda team and the junior Kawasaki team is really seeming to kind of take. Obviously, the Kawasaki team is kind of really leading the charge, but the Honda team is really like the second kind of lights team that's really taking the charge underneath the 450 flags. And we saw Justin Bogle, who just came away from a win at Loretta Lynn's, do his pro premiere this weekend, and he did great with a 6th overall in the 250 class. Yeah. And there were times where you were talking about that sea of red kind of within that sea of green, that he was one of the riders in there, mixing it up with Vincent a little bit. We saw Han had a couple problems a couple times, but great to see those guys in there mixing it up. And we know that the way everyone's talked and the way the contracts have been paid out, Bogle's supposed to be somebody. Bogle's going to make a name for himself, so that's definitely one to look out for. When it comes to the 450s, this was definitely where we were interested to see. It's like off of this break, who's going to show up and who isn't, and it just seems that Chad Reed mentally still isn't there. Whatever he lost, either from that big wreck or from the points lead or whatever it is, it's kind of still messing with his head, and the cobwebs are still there, and he's still trying to shake it out. And that's kind of
it's unfortunate, but I mean that's. I shared the same opinion. It looks to be an accurate assessment, and not that I want it to be, but it does seem to be the case. like we said, he did great for the weekend.
Yeah, fourth overall, so
but
definitely can't.
But that's not going to get him back to the top.
Yep,
of
you're
the
right. You got to
series
win
standings.
races to win.
Yeah.
The guys who were winning though, we had the Ginger Ninja in first twice, so 1-1 for the overall. That's kind of the way. Yeah, I know our math is horrible, but that's easy to figure out.
Yeah.
And then again, we had Ryan Dungey, the other Ryan, 2-2. So then he had second overall. And again, Justin Barsha, who we said was riding a 450 first time this week professionally, third and third.
3.
So
Yeah.
obviously we had the Ginger Ninja, Dungey, and then Barsha first, second, and third for overall in the 450s. There was a lot of good racing that went on here.
Yeah.
There was not just one person that came out and walked away with it, which would be Villapoto in this stance, and Dungey giving it up. Like, Villapoto did seem to have things a little bit easier with a little bit better starts than everybody else, but man, Dungey and Barsha both times they had they were racing.
They were going after it.
Racing.
And then at the end of the last lap, when Barsha and Dungey came together, that was
that was definitely
that was one of those moments.
that was almost emotional in that sense. Like for me, and I know that may sound dumb, but it's just like this whole season so far. You know, this is our 9th race. We've 8 races behind us. We've seen Dungey and Villapoto and Reed really fight for this lead and fight for this championship, and then to have Justin Barsha come in there and really just kind of like on a whim, not think his whole way through the situation and almost take out somebody who is literally in the points chase. That's, I get it. Rubbin is racing, you know, but for him to just come in, you know, at the 4 rounds left to go, I just think that is very unprofessional.
Unprofessional, irresponsible, and what added insult to injury was him running his mouth when being interviewed afterwards.
Yeah.
I hope to God that some of the folks at Honda got a hold of him and smacked him around. The problem being that him coming out in his 450 debut and doing that well.
Yeah, somebody might start lighting a candle under his ass opposed to actually.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to carry much weight when they're sitting there shaking their finger at him when he was like, yeah, I rolled out and got 3rd overall in my first 450 race. Suck it. So it's going to, hopefully the words can kind of follow through and hit home.
Yeah. And by anything that we've just said, we do not think that Justin Barsha is a bad rider by any means. The guy can ride a motorcycle. It is amazing to watch him do it. I just wish personally that he would have been a little bit less involved with racers racing for at this point in the series for contention of the championship.
Oh, absolutely. No, Barsha's unbelievable. Yeah. And it was awesome to see him up there ripping. I love seeing that Honda up there.
He was ripping, dude.
Yeah.
That's going to be good to see the rest of the season and how he does.
Mm-hmm.
So locally, we did have a little bit more of racing going on because now things are starting to pick back up for us. And one of those was at the Torn, round 6, which we said is a Trophy Club, Texas. Now, typically, give us a good breakdown. Typically, what Trophy Club is like.
Dust Bowl.
Dusty.
Yes. Well, this time of year, most places around here are, but that place especially because it's very sandy, just that real powdery sand. It's right off the lake, and if it hasn't rained very recently, it is just going to be, there's going to be a cloud of dust that'll kill 12 people.
So luckily enough, speaking of the rain gods, Friday night and Saturday morning, it rained for an umpteen number of hours, which came out of nowhere. I didn't even hear anything about it. So everybody that woke up Saturday morning out at the Torn race to go practice, they had epic terrain to go ride on. Everyone said the track was perfect on Saturday by the time they got done riding practice on Saturday. They did say by 2 p.m. for the pro race on Sunday that it was pretty much hard-packed and dry again, and slick and dusty. But you can only ask for so much, and at least they didn't have a complete dust bowl, which we know could have been the outcome. So
yeah, that place can get pretty rough, and I'm not shocked that a day and a half in that the trail was kind of clapped out again. But it's a big picture. You know what? If there's someone that's going to have the rougher race, let it go to the pros.
That is a very good assessment, and I do agree as well. Speaking of some of the pros that were out there, we did have 2 new names. One that's kind of not new to Texas, Josh Demuth. Anybody that races any kind of off-road or motocross in Texas knows of Josh Demuth and how well he's done within the state and without of the state. And then we had a guy by the name of John Short. I want to make sure I got that right.
Yep.
John Short. This guy, I honestly had no idea who he was until I saw him show up on the pro results. Apparently, he is an intermediate MX racer. He was actually at Loretta Lynn's. He raced in the schoolboy class and a couple other classes. So he has some talent when it comes to racing motorcycles. It is not faint of heart for anyone just to go to Loretta Lynn's. Like, you need to be able to ride. He obviously has some talent, and he showed it when he came out and won the pro class in his first off-road race. To that I know of. We've actually talked with him. We're going to do a quick interview with him just to see more about what's going on with the kid. But kind of comes out of nowhere and just takes it. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, locally there are names that you expect to see hitting the podium, and it's not that we have the same folks every weekend, but you usually don't have too many surprises. This one was just kind of out of left field.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, like, I shot a message to Josh Demuth trying to figure out, I'm like, hey, cool to see you out at the Torn race this weekend. What's your plan? Are you trying to, because typically he will do a lot of the Torn races and a lot of the off-road races because of the fact that he just wants to go race. He is preparing himself for either arena cross or supercross. And so that's typically where you see Josh Demuth really outdoing the local series when it comes to the off-road side. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what are you getting ready for? You getting ready for 2012 arena cross? But this John Short kid, it's like maybe he just got off of Loretta Lynn's on a high. What's the next race, Dad? Can we go do? And boom, they had the rain. Let's hit up Torn. Mm-hmm. Whichever way it worked out for him, the kid walked away with a little bit of money. So that's a good thing to see. You want to talk about the way it kind of broke down?
Yeah, Cameron Ishmael is the current Torn points leader, and he had a better than normal third place start, but battling from the get-go with Demuth and Short, he kind of had a little bit of an uphill battle. Yeah. And we've talked about Cameron on here a million times. Obviously fast rider, but just wasn't in the cards with the other two out there.
Yeah.
Ishmael had actually noted to us that running at that speed and in the heat, it just wore him out, and understandably. We got a little bit of a break from the heat with the rain that rolled in, but it wasn't too long until it was right back up there and just humid as hell on top of it. Yeah. Once he let Short around towards the end, and he was just going to hang on for third at that point.
Yeah. It did sound like, too, that, after talking with Cameron, that Cameron said that he was just giving it his all, keeping up with Demuth and having Short kind of right behind him. And that he just did not feel 100% comfortable finishing off the race at that pace. So that's understandable. Let Short around. Yeah. Then he let Short and Demuth fight it out. Turns out that Short gets around Demuth. Short winds up at the win. Demuth in second. We got Cameron Ishmael in third. That is a very respectable place to finish. And there were actually a ton of names that showed up for this race. Be it that the temperatures were 100 degrees, not 110 like it could have been. Mm-hmm. A little bit of rain versus obviously none in months. So it turned out to be a really good weekend for Torn, and I'm glad to see that people showed up, especially we have a guy named John Short, new guy to the series, and then Josh Demuth. It's always good when Josh Demuth comes and hangs out. Everybody has a good time. The guy has more tattoos than people are in Texas. So.
Yeah, and I was really happy that the weather worked out the way it did, though, getting that little bit of a break, because I was somewhat concerned about, with the heat that we had rolling out the last few weeks. I mean, we were well on our way to a new record for days over 100.
They did cut the race. It looked like they only had about 7 laps, and they were running about just under 10 minutes. So it looks like they cut it from the 90 minutes to like 70 minutes. So they probably did cut it a little bit for the heat. I think that's where they kind of tried to make it up, because I saw some people bantering about, it's not a race if you do it X amount of minutes, and it's like, no.
People live.
Yeah, people live versus that. So there you go. All right, what's coming up?
Well, we have Winterset, Iowa, round 7 of the OMA.
All right, so we got the next OMA race.
That's next weekend.
And that's next weekend, so that'll be good to go. We got something to talk about there. But then we got 2 weeks away is where a lot of our big stuff is going to come up. So we've got
the next outdoor.
Motocross, Endurocross, and Torx, which is another one of our local series, which is their first comeback after the season break. So
the next outdoor is in Southwick. And so that'll be round 10.
Sand track.
Yeah, exactly. The Endurocross, they have round 3 in Indianapolis.
Endurocross track.
Yeah, it doesn't quite roll off the tongue the same way. And then the last one, like you mentioned, at Rio Bravo in Houston, Texas,
Thug
we have
life
Torx.
track.
Yeah, exactly. Wear a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
Track.
Make sure you bring your spinners and your Kevlar vest.
Yeah. Figure out that little spot in your enduro bag for the gun.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing to do.
It's Houston, folks.
It's not the end of the world. I haven't had a beer before. No, I'm good. All right, so for those of you that have no idea what you're watching, we're Seat Time. Our site is seattime.co. That's where you can always come to find us for any of our updates or any of our episodes. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/seattime and as well on Twitter at seattime_co. There's all the ways you can get in touch with us online. There's all kinds of other fun ways, but, we'd have to charge you for that. You don't want part of that. So that's what's going on there. So we did episode 30.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a cast.
Yeah.
You're moving soon.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, mine not.
No.
So that's part of it. I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right.
All right, kids. Well, thank you for joining us once again. And as always, come back next week and join us for a pint full of awesome.
Yeah.
The decision right now.
Yeah. What up? Scootermobile. Seat time, bitches.
All the real ballers have leg scooters.
Crutches is for suckers.